Hey everyone, Chris Caballero here with the Black Seal team in New York City. You know, I created this video to talk to you about two of the most important things you need to understand when going into a rent stabilized apartment complex. You know, especially before you decide to sign the lease with the landlord. So, the reason I decided to create this is because in the years I've been in business, I've seen a lot of weird stuff happen in the rent stabilized, sector of the apartment business. Okay, two things that always come to mind that are very important. I'm going to share with you today, and I'm doing this specifically to help you avoid many of the headaches that most people encounter when dealing with this type of property. Okay, and afterwards, if you go ahead and decide that you want to opt in, I'm going to share with you a very special secret that not a lot of people know when searching for a rental property. Okay, this is going to save you hopefully hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars on a yearly basis, and it's actually a very unique online tool that is going to give you insights in terms of what you should expect to pay for rent in a given property. Okay, this is going to be valuable information you don't want to miss out, so don't forget to opt in right here below on the form at the end of this video. Okay, so anyway, long story short, I want to just get right to the point because I know your time is valuable, and I'm sure you're eager to know what exactly it is I'm going to say and share with you today. So without any delays, here you go. Look, when you're out there looking for rent stabilized apartments, the first thing that you have to be aware of is that there's a rent stabilization board here in New York City, and they meet once a year, sometime around like June, July, August. And what they do is they decide to vote on whether or not they're going to increase rental rates for the upcoming year. So normally, for the last few years, they've left it alone. They haven't really increased it very much or hardly anything at all. And they'll post these. You'll see them on the subway, or you'll see them in various places. New York Times publishes what the resolution of the board was. So at the end of the day, you have to be aware of what the increases are, okay, before signing the dotted line. Most of the time, what it's been for the last few years is that, and what it is now, actually, currently right now, is that if you're going to extend your lease for only 1 year after you move in, then there is a 0% increase on the lease. Now, if you're going to extend it for 2 years, then they're able to adjust the lease up to 2%, okay? So if you're going to extend for 2 years, there's a 2% increase. And if you're going to extend for 1 year, there's currently a 1% increase. That's as of now, okay? Later on this year, after the rental season, sometime in September, they'll publish exactly whether or not they decide to leave it the same or make any slight modifications to it, okay? The second thing you got to be very aware of is this, and this is a biggie. This will cost you thousands of dollars, okay, if you don't pay attention to it. So the second one is landlords who will attempt to require for you to pay an additional month of prepaid rent in addition to the first month rent and the security deposit. They'll ask you to pay the last month of prepaid rent. Now, how will this apply to me, you may ask? Well, you may be in a situation, for example, where you might be gainfully employed, you might have a great FICO score, you might have good assets in the bank, but you may be living at home with mom and dad to save money, right? In anticipation of your move here to New York from wherever you're at. Or, you're just saving money because, you're just frugal, right? So in that scenario, the landlord's going to look at your application and say, oh, well, they don't have established rental history, or at least not recent established rental history, like within the last year or so, right? And because you don't have established rental history, there is no proof of your payment ability to keep up with the high dollar rent that landlords command here in New York City. And for that reason, and that reason only, a lot of landlords can actually turn around and ask you for a extra month of prepaid rent in advance. It could be that, the fact that you've got low assets in the bank, or the fact that your credit score may not be as high as the landlord would normally like to see. It could be a host of reasons, but the one I gave you primarily, when you live at home with family and you're saving up in anticipation for your move here to New York, I have seen that one be the culprit in landlords many times asking the tenant to fork out an additional month of prepaid rent. Well, guess what? I'm standing here today to tell you that that is illegal. A landlord cannot, under a rent-stabilized apartment, cannot ask you for an extra month of prepaid rent. That's absolutely illegal. So if you find yourself in that situation, you have to know that the landlord is asking you for something, he's asking you to do something illegal, okay? And if you're in a bind where you love the apartment, it's the only one you're gonna get, and you absolutely have to have this apartment, then if you sign the lease and give the extra month, then there's a process that you have to file with the Rent Stabilization Board that's called an overcharge, okay? And there's a form, there's a process that you would fill out. They would contact the landlord to advise them that, what he did was illegal, and, eventually the landlord would hopefully come to his senses and give you that money back, okay? So that's something you definitely have to keep in the back of your mind when searching apartments out there, in the event that you do run into a situation like this, okay? So that's all I've got for you today. And also, I've got a very special bonus for you. If you opt in, I'm going to share with you the secret of being able to find exactly what the rent amount should be for an apartment similar to the one you're looking to rent. There's an online tool to do this. I'll share it with you. I'll tell you where to go, how to get it, because the last thing you want is to walk into an apartment complex and have to pay, let's say, $2,000 for a studio apartment when everything else is renting for $1,800 in the building. You understand? You have to know exactly what you're paying. And if everything else is renting for $1,800 and the landlord's asking $2,000, well, I mean, wake up. You don't want to have to pay those extra $200 every month. That's going to end up costing you thousands over the life of the lease. So I'm going to share a very simple tool for you to use online that'll give you immediate access to understand exactly what rents are within the building. And that's available online, and I'll share it with you. Just opt in below on the form, and we'll get that right to you. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day. Good luck in your apartment search. And if there's anything we could do for you here at the Black Seal team, we'd be happy to help.